Hello everyone and welcome to another casual review. Today I'm talking about New Super Lucky's Tale. What happened to the old Super Lucky's Tale, you may ask? Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this game initially came out as an Xbox exclusive, and when it navigated to other platforms, they added some content, or they maybe did a little bit of a remaster, and hence the New Super Lucky's Tale title. This is a 3D platformer clearly made for a younger audience, and a kind of callback to an older generation of video games. You play as a mascot named Lucky, and you are an adorable little fox with a cute little voice, and the game is very fluffy and bubbly and fun, just like mascot platformers back in the day. The bad guys consist of their leader named Jinx and a bunch of other cats named the Kitty Litter, and each of them have their own unique design, and each one of them inhabits different worlds. And so they're basically like the final boss of the world before you navigate to the other world. Now, how do you navigate through worlds, you may ask? That is through the means of a magical book that Lucky has access to, and the main collectible that you're getting in this 3D platformer are pages for that book. When you have enough pages, you can then navigate to the next world. Lucky has a couple of moves in his arsenal. He can double jump, he can dig, he can do a ground pound, and he can spin with his tail. When you do your double jump, you can spin with your tail to do like a small, tiny little third jump. Initially, digging sounds like a cool tool to use as far as navigation, but I don't like the way that digging controls in this game. Basically, Lucky is propelled forward the entire time. Now, you can slow him down, but he's always going to be moving, and when you get out of the ground, when you let go of the dig button, then he launches himself forward kind of as a little jump, and it's difficult for you to launch straight up in the air. He's going to vault forward, and so a lot of the times I would accidentally vault forward off a ledge or into an enemy, and granted, this problem kind of fixed itself once I got used to how the digging controls, but I still don't like how you are constantly propelled forward when you're digging or when you launch out of the ground. The hub world basically works like a typical old 3D platformer hub where you go around to different portals. Think of these like the paintings in Super Mario 64, and each world has 4 collectible pages. So it's not something big like Super Mario 64 or something that you would repeat over and over again. You pretty much get in, you get at least 1 page, and then you get out. Now, each level has 4 different pages that you can get. There's a secret page. Usually this is found in some sort of little mini game objective, like get all the coins in the time limit, or do a little bit of extra platforming and you'll get that secret page. If you get 300 coins in the level, then you get a page, and coins are also used for purchasing costumes for Lucky, and I really like the concept of the costumes, and as you meet certain objectives, certain costumes become available for purchase as well. So that gives some customization for Lucky. You collect the 5 letters L-U-C-K-Y, and these are just mini collectibles that you can find throughout the level. Once you collect all these, you get a page, and then obviously once you finish the level itself, you will get a page. The levels are short enough that it doesn't feel like a huge commitment, and the game as a whole takes maybe like 5 hours to complete, depending on how skilled you are and what kind of collectibles you're going for. It was short enough for me that I felt like it wasn't a big deal to try and get all the pages, and I actually achieved that, and it only took about 5 hours. So really not that big of a game. You might as well set out to collect all of the pages if that's your thing. In addition to these levels with 4 pages, there are these one-off little things, and most of the time they are these sliding puzzles. If you've ever played a video game with like an icy floor where you have to push the blocks around and they stop when they hit rocks or walls and you have to like try and get the statue on a switch, basically like that, but there are monster statues and there are fox statues, and you basically have to line up all the fox statues on green switches. Most of the time these weren't pretty difficult. I only had to look up the solution to one of these puzzles once, so really if you spend a little bit of time thinking through it, you should be able to solve these puzzles. The other little one-off things to get pages are these levels that are similar to Super Monkey Ball, where you have to get all of the coins without touching the spikes 3 times and having to start over. The Super Monkey Ball levels only happened maybe like 4 times, and the rest were those sliding statue puzzles though. There's a nice variety in typical levels. Like you'll have your traditional 3D platformer levels that you're used to, but there are also a couple of auto runners where Lucky is just constantly going to run, and you have to decide when you dig or when you jump or when you double jump or do your tail spin to get all of the collectibles. There are a couple of like top-down mazes that you're going through. There's a couple more traditional 2D perspective platformers, so there is a nice variety here to keep things fresh. There really isn't too many worlds. I said earlier that this is a super short game. I think there's maybe 4 or 5 different worlds, but each one has some level of variety. Like you go to a beach world and a snowy world and a level more like mountainy. And the characters that inhabit these levels are fun and colorful, like the stone golems or these southern worms with twangs, or you go to a spooky place with ghosts. And I like talking to them because they just speak gibberish, but they do repeat the same lines just with different voice actors. And so the voice acting does get kind of repetitive, if you can call it voice acting. It literally is just gibberish while you read text below. But each level you go to, you'll talk to the friendly characters around the town, and they'll say some objective like, oh, we gotta go get the band together. And so you have to navigate through this level, finding like the 3 band members of the band, or hey, this block is blocking the way and we need to get enough ghosts to help us push the blocks out of the way, and so you have to find them. So there is some kind of individual story in each level on why you're doing what you're doing, but the overall plot is you are trying to get enough pages for your book to eventually get to Jinx and take him down and get reunited with Lucky's family. The music in each level is fun and playful, albeit each song is rather short, so it can get a little repetitive after you've been in the same level for a long time, but it's fun, it's bubbly, it's charming, it's very like Disneyland. So when you're wandering around Disneyland, you get the happy, bubbly music playing, and that adds to the charisma of the game. There are a lot of loading screens, and the loading screens are pretty long. I played this on the PlayStation 4, and each loading screen took maybe 10-15 seconds, and you come across a loading screen maybe every, I don't know, maybe like 7 minutes, just depending on what you're doing. Once you do beat the game, if you did feel like this game was too short and you didn't get your money's worth, there is some post-game stuff that you can do with the Guardian Trials, but that stuff really isn't too long either. So if you are interested in this game, I certainly wouldn't recommend paying full price for it. $20 even seems like a bit too much for me, but I paid $5 for a physical copy, and I definitely think that it's worth it. So if you could find this game on sale, potentially anything less than $10, I think it's worth playing through, especially if you're into these mascot 3D platformers. Or if you have a more novice gamer in your household who is just entering gaming, this might be a good one to introduce them to as well. For me personally, I think I will give this game a 3 out of 5. It had a lot of fun charm to it, but it's not something I was exactly dying to play every day. It's short enough that it definitely didn't overstay its welcome. Well guys, that's it for me. Let me know if you have any questions or comments about new Super Lucky's Tale, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. Otherwise, I'll talk to you later. Bye!